Welcome back to Absolute Comics, right here with Benny and Sal. This is the show where every week we get together looking at the general news in the world of comic books, movies, video games. If it talks about a superhero, we want to talk about it with you. And this show is filmed live every Tuesday at Comicstorian, twitch.tv/Comicstorian at about 5 p.m. Eastern. We go about an hour. We have a great audience, a great community. Come and hang out with us. But I also want to take a moment to let you know that we also now have an absolutely Marvel and DC Discord, where you can talk about Absolute Comics. You can talk about our show Nope, where we talk about paranormal stuff. You can talk about Batwatch, or how much we all hate Halo. Whatever you want to talk about, that's the spot for it. And if I remember, the link will be in the description of this video. It is right now going up over on our Twitch side. And today's episode is brought to you by G Fuel, and I have a whole G Fuel set that's going to go back here, and I haven't done it yet. So,
that's fair.
That shelf is going to be stacked with G Fuel cans. That's like They sent me it all for that explicit purpose, Sal.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, that's the show today. Today's topics are going to be Marvel confirmed stuff about Conan. There's stuff about Thor: Love and Thunder. Who cares? Who knows? We'll talk about it in a minute. Aquaman Lost Kingdom has been cut down because they had to get rid of a lady who wanted to poop on a bed. Then we're going to talk about Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness stuff. It's far enough out. We can have a discussion about that one now. There's going to be a new video game called Multiversus that made me tear up a little. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about what the producers of Moon Knight are moving on to, which is kind of worrying because I thought it was Moon Knight 2. Anyway.
No, there's no way.
And we're going to talk about how stubborn Disney is with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, man. They're like crazy people over there. They're like, it's happening. I don't care. I don't care what tells me we shouldn't be doing this right now, but it's happening anyway.
And then a surprise topic, but since Sal's in a mood to talk about that, let's start at the bottom of the list. We're doing it in reverse. We don't have no rhyme or reason to this show.
They're all they're equal strength. There's no primary topic from this one. They're all good topics.
That's what we do. That's why it's a podcast. We just talk about them all. So Disney CEO confirms that Black Panther: Wakanda Forever will be releasing this year and is planned for a November 11th release. Despite production issues, the film finally wrapped its shooting on March 24th, 2022.
Wow. Despite there being no Black Panther, we are making Black Panther 2.
The worst part is this. Okay, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. We did lose him. They're insisting that the title of Black Panther will move on to another individual.
Well,
the obvious choice is Shuri, who has been all over media being just causing issues left and right.
Exactly.
Which is weird because Disney will fire you for far less. Johnny Depp was removed from Pirates of the Caribbean because of defamation rumors, which we are now finding out are false. They fired James Gunn for a tweet from 2009.
Yeah.
But the actress Shuri's over here being like, nah, vaccines are crazy. You're all crazy. I know you made it a mandate that I have to do this on the set, but no.
Yeah.
What's going on?
That's the difference between want and need. With James Gunn, they're like, we don't need James Gunn to direct the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie. We got Taika Waititi. He could do that. We need someone to be Black Panther.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, you could just recast the character. But
we made a whole video with the guy starting that movement, and I agree with every one of his points. I do think Black Panther should just be recast.
At this point, you did it for Hulk.
Yeah, you did. You
did it for far less. Edward Norton just wanted to co-write the script, and they were like, "Get the hell out of here." But
I'm just surprised that after everything we've heard about this movie, it's still just it will come out. Everything else is being delayed again into 2023, from games to movies. DC moved its entire slate into the next year.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the urgency is for Black Panther. I understand why people like it, and I understand why it's a good franchise. But I don't understand why Disney's breaking their backs to get this movie. We still have no idea about. Movies come out in November, and people and I don't know thing one about this movie. There's nothing.
I don't know anything about it. They've said nothing. Even the idea that Shuri's the new Black Panther is based on speculation. We don't even know that.
That's not even confirmed.
She could have no role in this movie, and it is M'Baku. They could have replaced Chadwick Boseman, and we wouldn't even know that.
That's true. No, she could have been in the movie a lot, and then they cut her out after having witnessed her behavior, not unlike Mera. How apparently in Aquaman 2, Warner's has tried desperately to remove her entirely from the movie, but it's just not possible. That's another topic. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, we're going to get to Aquaman next. We'll bounce up to that one. We're just all over the place today. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this, why they're trying to do this. I don't know why they're trying to rush this out.
I don't know.
I'd prefer them to take their time and make this movie solid. I mean, they pushed Multiverse of Madness back 2 months. But no, Wakanda Forever will come out.
No waiting. I get it. I mean, like, you know, Black Panther, I think, made $1 billion. I think they're desperate to make their $1 billion back, but like, I don't know.
I don't think it's going to be this movie. Sadly, I do not think this one's going to do it.
I don't think so either. I don't think so. I mean, I think we're just seeing, like, Disney's in a weird place. Disney Marvel is in a weird place, I should say. And, you know, I think that they're trying to get back to, like, normalcy, and I think they're like, maybe Black Panther will do it for us. I don't know. It's a weird wild ride, man. I don't get it. And it's not what I would do. I would not be approaching this from that perspective. I wouldn't be like, I just don't know why
even after his passing, we didn't even take a minute to breathe. They're like, okay, well, Black Panther 2's on track. We're doing it. Like,
yeah, and it's like weirdly asympathetic when they are more sympathetic to random other things. You know, like they're just like, yeah, I mean, it's real tragedy, but we got to get this movie going. It's like,
I'm sorry, but we got to do this.
And it's like, what about like, hey, when is Ms. Marvel coming out? And they're like, 2022. It's like, when is that? Well, you know, we're moving it around.
That's what I mean. It's so weird.
Everything is like, I don't know.
But Black Panther has a concrete date, and we will not be deviating from that date.
I don't get it. And I don't, you know, it's not how I would do it. I don't think, you know, when people are looking at Black Panther 2, they're going to be scrutinous. They're going to be looking at it under a microscope. And the thing you don't want to have showing is how slipshod it was made, and how urgently you made it. You know, you don't want to have like remnants of COVID restrictions in your movie if like there aren't any on the movie you produced like 6 months before. You know, like,
it's so weird.
It's weird.
But look, we're just going to talk in circles here, so we're going to move to the next topic. Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom has been massively cut down. Okay, I see. They did word it a little wonky, and I've read it weird. Aquaman: The Last Kingdom has massively cut down, but not removed the character of Mara from the film, as the defamation trial of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp continues. According to sources, Warner Brothers wanted to remove her entirely, but she fought hard to remain in the film. What fought hard means, however, is unknown. I think fought hard is like, no, don't remove me. Her entire argument, if you've followed anything with this trial, and I've been trying not to because it just seems like something like, this is none of my business. This woman's pooping on a bed and Johnny Depp is like drunk off his ass. Neither of these sounded like they were in a good spot. Like,
no, I don't. Yeah, no, it did not help anybody, but at least it's what we like to call mutually assured destruction.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, you cost me like $1 billion from bad Pirates of the Caribbean sequels, so now I'm gonna ruin your career. And it's like,
well, I actually stand with him on this. Like, if they were having rocky stuff and she was messing with him, it should have just ended there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But it's one of those deals where it's like, why did she attack Johnny Depp? Now his only option is this recourse.
Exactly.
Get his name back.
Exactly. Oh, at the very least, to like, yeah, it's mutually assured destruction. It's just like, don't attack my livelihood if you're in the wrong, or if you have to embellish the truth, because it's only going to hurt both of us, especially if you have skeletons in your closet.
Yes, exactly.
Thankfully, like, you know, Amber Heard wasn't terribly popular in the first Aquaman, and I think that's a real shame. Hey, speaking of recasting, you know, because Johnny Depp and Amber Heard look terrible from this trial. I mean, like, Johnny looks better than Amber. I'm not saying, you know, but like,
well, he only looks as good as he does because of how much damage she did.
Because of how bad she looks. Like, she looks devastatingly bad.
She did such a good job at ruining his character and getting him fired.
Yeah.
That no matter, like, yeah, he still doesn't look great, but the fact is that all she said was a lie, and that's the big thing. Yeah, he was a drunkard. Yes, he was angry at times. Yes, he was causing other issues and problems like that, but it doesn't matter because all of, like, everything else is a lie, and we're basing it off of that. So
right. I mean, at the end of the day, it just, what it does is it reveals a truth about Hollywood, which is like, look at these petty rich people all arguing with each other over dollars and cents, and it doesn't make the general public who's spending their, like, you know, people work 8 to 12-hour days hard. You know, hard days. I'm not talking about like easy, cushy days like you and me have. Like, I'm talking about like hard work days, and then they get this little scrap of money that they're not spending on like their roofs or their cars or their children, and they're using it to go see a movie. And if they go see a movie starring an Aquaman, and they are reminded that there's like this really petty person in there who like is making crap up, or maybe just embellishing it to the point where it is just because, you know, it leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth, and nobody like, it takes you out of the movie and it changes your whole perception. It's like, yeah, you're watching these two rich people just go like, you hurt me, you hurt, like, and it's all over money. It's all a civil case. So it's like, meanwhile, I'm underwater, like literally though, not like Aquaman. Like, I'm underwater financially, and I just, you know, I don't know. I just wanted to see a movie with like pirates or Aquaman, and you're making it really difficult. She can just go away, and it's a shame because Mara is a cool character and an awesome.
I'm looking up Amber Heard because like I just realized I have no idea who she is beyond Mara.
Right. I know she's been in things, and I think I've even seen those things that she was in, but not to the point where I can even name them or care.
It's all
like,
random stuff that I've never, like, Magic Mike is the only thing on this list that like steps out to me like, oh yeah, Magic Mike.
Okay, so it's not, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we're not losing. Like,
she's in a lot of movies. She was getting jobs like 3 times a year.
Okay.
She's had nothing since COVID, and I don't think she's going to have anything after COVID.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. But, yeah, no, I mean, like, it's a shame that, you know, the poor DC universe, man.
I know. Between that and the Ezra Miller situation.
I know, like, they're just so...
They cannot catch a break. They can't.
Yeah. Well, that's why they were so hyped. That's why Batman worked so well. They're like, oh my God! Like, and no one did anything. You didn't kill anybody. Like, we just made money, and people enjoyed the movie. Like, okay. Like, yeah, no, maybe they'll accidentally end up doing what we suggested in the first place, which is like, make this the bedrock of the new DC universe, and because the rest of it's just like it's all on fire.
Do it like that. You know, just do it like that. Bring in all your new cast. Just do the Batman is the beginning. Mm-hmm. You don't even need, and we could even swap Robert Pattinson around. Fine. If he doesn't want to be in 1,001 Batman appearances.
Yes, he does. Care. He'll be in them. The fact is, if you just keep making good Batman movies and you pay him well enough, like, Batman is one of those characters that prints money but also doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be a star in a Flash movie. Batman doesn't need to be a main character in a Superman movie. Batman you can do a shot in a Superman movie or a Flash movie or a Green Lantern movie where Robert Pattinson is wearing a batsuit from the waist up at the cave at the computer, and he gets a call on the bat phone, and he says 1 or 2 things, and that's it. That's like 6 hours of shooting that day, and he got paid the same amount as he got for the Batman. These people, you know, they never think about the big picture here. Like, look, no. We're not. Look, Robert, we're not asking you to be in 7 or 8 movies. You'll end up being in 7 or 8 movies, but you're not shooting 7 or 8 movies.
Right.
You're shooting 3 Batman movies, and you're going to appear in 4 or 5 other movies.
Well, it's like the 9 contract for Chris Evans.
Right.
He was only in 3 Captain America movies.
Exactly. But he also got his own headlining movies where they were about him. Right? Yeah. So there is a formula here, and it does work, and you can still get paid and keep some integrity. You're going to be okay, Rob. Just be Batman. Anyway, Amber Heard's out. Good riddance. Moving on.
It sounds like they want her out entirely, but honestly, basically what this sounds like is Mara's going to have almost no role and then be gone. Like, we're not going to get another Mara.
It's a shame because, like, I like Mara as a character, and I think that inevitably Aquaman is more interesting when he is with Mara or when he's married to her. So, like, by Aquaman 3, if such a thing ever happens, then you just recast. They recast Rachel Weisz in The Mummy 3. Like, The Mummy 3? The third one? You couldn't pay her enough to be in the third one. I mean, come on.
The Mummy is a great series, by the way. I wish
it is a great series. No, I love The Mummy, but they're like they're schlocky, like 30s serial movies. Yeah. But at the same time, like, you know, by the third one, if Rachel Weisz is going to be a holdout, just kill the character off. Don't insultingly change her. We've seen her for 2 movies now. I know what that character looks like. Yeah. Don't tell me, you know, don't tell me that's somebody else. Like, don't tell me that's not somebody else. It's just ridiculous. And it's like, but if they can do that, they can recast Mara, a character that most people probably couldn't even name.
All right, so that's the two big movie news. Let's move it to the top of this list. Actually, before we get to the top of the list, we were talking about this beforehand. Yeah. What the hell happened with Last Ronin? So I want to talk about that. What happened? Last Ronin finally wrapped up with very little fanfare. I loved it, but it was like very expected ending. We looked into it. They were swapping artists. They were swapping out things. This series, for 5 issues...
It's only 5 issues.
It's only 5 issues, and it took a year and a half to come out.
Yeah, it took exactly as long as Doomsday Clock to come out.
Why? What happened?
I honestly, I don't know, but I do suspect that it was a perfect storm of shit. You know, it's one of those things where it was just paper shortage, COVID restrictions, and also like the artist issues. But I mean, like, here's the thing. I still don't think that Last Ronin was written all at once. Like, I think that, like, they wrote the first 3, and then they went, like, I don't think that IDW, because the thing is, IDW, like, that first issue sold like crazy. And it was, and it really sold big on the speculators market. Like, that was a pretty big book, especially for IDW. And so for them, they're like, I mean, there's at least 2 other versions of issue 1 out. Between issues 1 and 5, they put out like multiple issues that were just alternate versions of number 1, including reprints of number 1, just to get it out there, just to get people talking about it. And it whetted people's appetite. People were really excited about like there being a Dark Knight Returns-ification of the Turtles, I guess. And it's like, what you needed to do was hit on that momentum, like, hard. You needed to be like, okay, well, let's make sure that this book comes out on time, so people are still talking about it. Because I mean, before issue 5 dropped, which was only a few weeks ago, we saw, and when I say before, I mean like a year before, we saw Turtles Last Ronin action figure prototypes out. Like, the figures being made.
There is a Sideshow statue of him with the ghosts that I want, but it's way too expensive.
Oh, I gotta see that. But like, there's a Sideshow statue. There is an action figure. Those aren't quick and easy to make. They had plenty of time to do it.
Yeah.
I would be shocked and amazed if there wasn't a Last Ronin direct to streaming or download animated movie, because it would make so much sense to do that. Like, you could turn Last Ronin into a media empire. Heck, you could continue. That does look dope.
Doesn't it? It's $1,600 though.
That's too. Well, you know what it is, because you're getting 4 statues. But like, you know, your Last Ronin could have become its own spin-off Turtles franchise.
They even left the door open with the new Turtles and the kids.
I know. There's so much you could do with that, and the momentum was just, the wind was knocked right out of their sails, and I think it's just...
Because 4 and 5, no one really talked about.
Nobody talked. I remember when it dropped, and everyone was like...
I talked about it, and the fans of Last Ronin did, but the general discussion of Last Ronin just poof.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is that, like, it doesn't really matter what, like, the fans think, because the fans, while they do support the book, they're only one part of the puzzle. You need other people to become fans to bolster the product, so you can actually make some money off this thing. And the first issue got some attention, and it's like, you got to keep that attention. Like, you got to rattle that cage. But once you rattle the cage, you can't be like, oh, who rattled that cage? I don't know. Like, you got to talk about, well, you got to get, once you get their attention, you got to start making some noise. And Last Ronin, like, when that last issue dropped, and the problem is, it's a twofold thing, right? Like, at last issue, like, you know, it ended how I expected. It wasn't the whole book. If it had been like, if they had dropped it as a hardcover, or if that book had come out once a month on time in a year, especially because I think it launched October of 2020, so it's like during the COVID outbreak when people were stuck indoors.
Yeah, they lost the first one, we all freaked out, and then they lost the second one, we all freaked out. We lost the third one, everyone's like, we're kind of freaking out. And at the fourth and fifth,
the fourth one to come out. Yeah, and I think at that point, because of how much momentum was lost from Last Ronin, that it had to be because they hit a creative wall. I don't have anything to support this. I just feel in my bones, based on how inconsistent the last 2 to 3 issues are, that they didn't write all of the book, or they didn't draw all of the book, or
they changed the idea midway through, maybe.
Yes, that, like, there might have been some interference by the penultimate chapter to go, well, you know, like, and so as a result, like, it, like, you know, courses had to be corrected and changes had to be made, and so it delayed the book. Like, they're like, we're on track as long as we don't lose our momentum. creatively, and they did, and I think that's what caused the losing of momentum publish-wise. I don't know, though. I don't know, and I would love to know. I wish they would tell us.
I really wish I could find out what happened there, because I don't think it was just the paper shortage, because that's...
No.
Because they released other books. I mean, if I was the CEO of IDW at that point, I would have been like, okay, what's our lowest seller? That's getting delayed, and we're taking that paper, and we're making Last Ronin.
That's exactly... that. You mentioned that off mic, and it was such a great idea. It's like, yeah, no. I mean, like, look at how Marvel... Marvel deliberately floods the market with books just so that every time you look at a comic book shelf, you'll see a Marvel book. And they'll do that, like, almost at a loss. It's one of their only, like, expenditures that they'll actually make. And one of the things you notice during the paper shortage is that the lowest selling books got lower quality paper. And so you'll see, like, the lower selling books, the books that would have been relegated to a digital series, if not for Marvel wanting to capitalize on the market, had like floppy, poorly printed books. They just didn't look as good. Like, they cut corners. And if Marvel is willing to do that, like, if Marvel's willing to cut corners on their print books when they were a book printer, then IDW should have at least been like looking at their bottom line and going, that book is... There isn't the audience to support this book needing to be consistently on time.
Right.
So let's just put a pause on that and reallocate resources to get this thing. But that's why I think that it was creative, because it's like you could throw all the money in the world at an artist, but you can't. Like, it's like leading a horse to water. Like, you can give you can give an artist money, but you can't make him write or draw.
Yeah.
It's like they gotta have the idea and they gotta want to execute it. I remember reading about Last Ronin, looking at, like, if you look at the director's cut, it's fun because, like, there's like all these original typewritten pages that Eastman and Laird put together when they had developed The Last Ronin back in like '87, and it's like a really cool idea. But there are moments, there are like handwritten notes on there. They don't have the villain in that plan. Like, they don't know. Like, they're just like, this will be cool, let's do this. Like, they have like a rough outline about like what this universe looks like, but they don't have the whole thing. And I don't think they did when they launched it. Like,
Right.
I don't think they had a full fleshed out idea. If you look at Hiroto, the main villain, he has 5 costume changes.
Oh,
in
he
5
does. It's
issues.
cool. I like the last one though. He's like, I'm in a mechanical suit now.
And like, I wish it was cool, but like, he has been pantsed. Like, Hiroto shows up and it's like, he's the Crow. Okay. Then he shows up again and he's Spawn, and you're like, what? And then he shows up again and he looks like Akira or Tron, and it's like, what? And then he has another Tron suit, and it's very different. And it's like, what? And then he's Liquid Metal Shredder, and you're like, okay, why did you do all of this? And it's like, I know why. Because they wanted to change it, because they didn't have a consistent plan for that character. I mean, like, it could be shrewd. It could be because they wanted 5 action figures of Hiroto, but I don't see them.
Yeah, I don't see the stuff for it. I was looking at Turtles figures the other night because, I read through the book again, and I'm like, oh man, I want to get some Turtle stuff in my collection.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was none. There's nothing really out there. There's the last Ronin suit. That's about it.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird, and you know what it is? You know what's fun about it though? It's fun to talk about this, because normally when we have this conversation, it's usually about how DC has no leadership or Marvel is like cutting corners again. But it's fun to be like, oh, look at IDW playing with the big leagues, making weird comic book decisions. Because like no other industry can you get away with being a business and making just straight up weird decisions that just don't make money. Like they'll go, like, there are 2 roads. There is the creatively bankrupt financial decision and the like incredibly creative, like, non-financially viable decision, and they'll pick a 3rd road. And it's like, why did you do that? And they're like, we're trailblazers. I don't understand it. But
Boom does a lot of that. Boom's like, I feel like Boom got like Power Rangers to make them bank. They're like, all right, cool, we'll do whatever the hell we want over here. And I'm like, I don't know if you should do that.
Yeah, and by the way, that ain't like, people think Boom is like a creator. It's like a new competitor for Image, and it's like, no, if you're a creator, don't go to Boom. Like, they own that. That's theirs forever. Like, that's not a haven for creators' rights. Like, they are a competitor in terms of like tone. Like, you can look at Something's Killing the Children, and you're like, whoa, that's a very original book. That feels like an Image book. Yeah, but Boom owns it forever. And they'll drive that into the ground as long as they exist.
I mean, that's why the book that I'm writing, we're just going to do our own release program where we're going to stick it up on a YouTube channel and then offer it up as a Kickstarter and then go from there. So,
yeah, and
I'm just gonna own it myself.
Because if you can turn it into like a podcast or a Spotify series or a toy line or a movie series or a TV show, like, you'll own it. You'll be the producer.
Funny note to go with this. Salad, I just discovered this, so obviously it's not doing nearly as well. They are making The Last Bot Standing, which is the Transformers version of Last Ronin, apparently. We don't know exactly what it is, but...
Nope. Just that it's here. And I would not be surprised. Like, I mean, like, based on the success, the runaway success of the first issue of Last Ronin, it's like, oh, okay. What IPs do we own? The Last Joe, The Last Bot, The Last Ghostbuster. Like, just everybody will be.
Who's the last bot though? Who is it? Do we know?
I have no idea. I don't know. I found out about it right before we started shooting. I have no idea.
I know that. I just didn't know if maybe you'd recognize because like this is a view of them. I thought at first it was Optimus, but it's not.
No, well, that's the thing. Is like you got to subvert expectations by which bot it is, or which turtle it is, or which Joe it is. You know, it's like it's just Shipwreck, and he's like trying to avenge the Joes. I don't know.
It's just Shipwreck.
You know, my life became a shipwreck after the Joes got hit by Cobra. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, no, for me. That's a financially. There we go. Like that's a capitalist decision. Good on you, IDW. Yes.
I could see IDW be like, all right, so Last Ronin did really well. Like you said, dude, how long before we get the last Ghostbuster?
Honestly, like the thing is, I would have expected it next because Eric Burnham and Dan Schoening are workhorses who will do it immediately. But I haven't seen a Ghostbuster book from IDW in like over a year or two, and so I'm wondering who even owns the rights to Ghostbusters right now.
Oh yeah, maybe it reverted back to somebody else because of the movie.
Yeah, maybe it went back to like 88 Miles Per Hour Studios or something. I don't have any idea who owns Ghostbusters, and I don't think anybody has any idea who owns Ghostbusters now. And it's really sad because like Ghostbusters is one of those like it is the most consistent book that has come out of IDW in 10 years. Like it is just it's the same creative team, it's the same book. Here's Ghostbusters, and it's like, and they've had like crossovers and
it's one of those books I always wanted to sit down and read, and I never got around to it. Never got around to it.
It's fun. There's like, and you don't have to necessarily read it from beginning to end. Like you could have like they have like Civil War-esque events. You know, they have intercompany crossovers, or at least inner IP crossovers. Like there are at least 2 Ghostbusters Ninja Turtles crossovers. Like.
All right. Well, speaking of rights reverting back, Marvel is confirming that that Conan the Barbarian will be leaving the Marvel Universe at the conclusion of King Conan in July. It will go back to Conan Properties International, an entity owned by Heroic Signatures. That tells me the book did not sell well enough for Marvel to renew their license.
That's interesting. Yeah, I get. Well, but why did that? Then why is he everywhere? Like, why do they have like a 26 or whatever issue long Conan book? Why are there 2 Jason Aaron books? Why is he headlining?
I think they were trying. I think they were trying to make it work. Like,
I guess that's true.
Like maybe either they already had the license or they got the license and they were like, we're gonna try to make a Conan line, and if it can sell, we'll re-up, and if it can't. We're just gonna let it go back.
I don't know. I think it snuck up on them. I think that this is emblematic of the real problem with Marvel and DC. Hey, we got around to it, that no one's in charge and that no one's paying attention because they canceled the Epic collections and the omnibuses for Conan as well. Only like Marvel and Dark Horse and IDW are like, I mean, really, IDW and Dark Horse are the best like large, oversized comic book like graphic novel publisher. Like. In the business, but Marvel should be one of the biggest because of their overhead and their ability to like and their longevity. They've been around for freaking 75 years. They should be able to publish books better than anybody else, and yet they don't. But the fact that like Marvel is canceling their omnibuses, and the fact that like I thought when we did our show Off the Rack on our other channel, I talked about how I had read a report that suggested that like Marvel was good, like. The rights will revert back, but Marvel's still allowed to reprint all the books that Conan has appeared in and like all the series that he was in. But like that's not true. Apparently, they have to change the name and stuff. Like in new reprintings, there's a rumor that's going around, and I don't know if it's rumor or fact that like in future reprints, they'll have to change his name. They can use it, but like they'll have to call him something else.
Because he's in Savage Avengers. That's not.
Right, like, that's the biggest oversight is, like, he is front and center on this new book that's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, the Savage Avengers has a new lineup. Conan's still on it.
He is inexorably tied to at least the plot of where this book is going. I got a chance to read it earlier. And, what? Like, especially because King Conan #6 comes out in like I think 2 months. So you better wrap up this Conan plot because because you're not going to be allowed to have it in a minute. It's really weird. But it happened so suddenly. I mean, the fact that like we had a Predator book come out like 2 years ago, and then we didn't because like the rights got in question by like the guys who wrote the first movie, and suddenly, without warning and with no discussion, Predator #1 is just coming out in July, and it's like, did you fix it? Is that what's happening? And
I
discussion.
wonder if this is one of those situations where the guys in Marvel are like, oh, this will renew no problem. This will renew no problems. But the guys who own Conan are like, no, we want to use it.
Right. I can imagine them being like, actually, according to this, like we can pull it at any time, and we're going to, and we can do it. And the longer we get in this industry, and the more interaction we have with the different aspects of like the media industry, the more I've realized that like, don't discount the power of the ego. Like I can imagine this company, Heroic, whatever the hell, just going like, "Hey, watch me tell Marvel what to do. We're gonna take we're gonna take the rights back. But that really screws up our arrangements." Yeah, I know, it really does, doesn't it?
Yeah, they only got the rights back in 2019, and they made a big deal about it. They were like, we're making a whole, because they did the Conan book, the Conan spin-off book, the Conan other characters books, like everything.
Yeah, there was at least like 2 Conan events. Like there was a Conan Serpent Crown story with all of the other like Howard books or characters. Conan was a major player in that like that No Surrender book, I think. Like he's all over that series. They had 3 Conan series. Yeah. And then suddenly they're just like, oh, and we have to stop. And like you could see, if you want to watch a major, like one of the big 2 scramble, see what they're doing with Conan, because like I don't think they have any idea what they can and cannot do right now. All we do know is like they had to like they had to chop it. Like they had to hit the abort button on everything. Like we found out more information today than we did yesterday about like what's happening, and I don't think they know either. I think they're like, what?
Yeah. All I know is that the run is going to end. The conclusion of the story is coming. Because I kind of got a little into Conan, and that actually just made me read more Red Sonja, because I really like Conan. I like that age. Yeah. But I also like half-naked women. So
Red
Sonja kind of
that'll scratch that itch.
Yeah, I'll just combine these 2 desires.
Yeah, thanks, Dynamite.
They do, for the record, they do a great job with the Red Sonja books. It's like classic Zenoscope, where it's like cheesecake as hell covers, but the stories were always really good for the most part. Like the Little
for the
Mermaid
most part. Right now, I think Red Sonja is like a vampire or something. I'm just like,
well, they always have the mainline Red Sonja where it's normal.
Okay.
And then they do these like Hell's Sonja with Vampirella, Sonja, like, because I think that's the only thing that Dynamite has is Vampirella Red Sonja. So
those are the big ones. Those are big money makers.
So they got the Red Sonja book, and then every ancillary Red Sonja project gets its own thing.
It's true.
You could go to them and be like, I got an idea for Red Sonja in heaven, slaughtering gods, and they'll be like, sold. Can you get me 4 issues?
Right. That's all I want. I'll take a Red Sonja 4-issue miniseries. I've got one for you, ready to go.
Yeah, if you're watching this, Dynamite, I am an actual fan of Red Sonja, and I will write a story about Red Sonja with my buddy Sal. You will get our label. You'll get promotion for the next 80 years from us.
That's right.
Not legally binding.
That is not legally binding. Time frame subject to amendment.
I'm just saying, at Dynamite, if you happen to be a fan, I am a fan of Red Sonja.
Right.
I remember, like, I did the Red Sonja video, and one of their community managers reached out to me. It felt like he just got the job or was trying to figure it all out.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Yep.
Yeah, and it was like, I don't like what you're doing. Like, I'm good, thanks, man. I'm just a fan of the books. That's all it is. Like,
right. No, I remember that.
All right, next up, we got the new Thor: Love and Thunder is going to confirm a major Black Panther 2 connection with the appearance of the Wakandan god Bast. Whether or not the god will fall in the hands of the god Butcher is unknown, but it's interesting to see that many of the Marvel gods will be appearing or mentioned in the upcoming film. I mean, you gotta do it. If you got a guy called the God Butcher, you at least have to mention where they all are.
You gotta. I mean, like, what a dropped ball in Moon Knight.
Yeah.
To not have Bast show up.
I mean, not even that. Why don't you just imply something's going on? I don't know. The Moon Knight should have just been a street level adventure. I don't know why they had to turn it this whole big beam in the sky.
That's not what the showrunner wanted to do. The showrunner wanted to make a Ghostbusters movie with the Mummy. That was his pitch. He was like, I wanted to make the Ghostbusters.
Wait, really?
I wanted to make Ghostbusters meets the Mummy. And I'm like, that's cool. That's not Moon Knight, dude.
Yeah. Well, that was my complaint. Like, and I'm getting really tired. I had a fun comment, and I linked it to the chat the other day, where I gave my opinions on Moon Knight, and one of the comments was, I'll just pull it up. I gotta say what the comment was.
I gotta see what it. Yeah.
I gotta say the exact wording because that's what makes it funny.
Oh yeah.
Dude, you're asking for too much. My wife liked it, and she doesn't read comics. Comic book readers don't equal the whole world. And so I responded with, correct. Should I not have an opinion because your wife liked it?
That's right. That's it. His wife liked it. That's the end of it. That says everything. I mean, like, yes, that might be the lay of the land in your house.
Right. And I'm not saying people didn't like Moon Knight. I mean, people like Eternals. I like Eternals, and half the MCU fandom doesn't.
Oh my God! Yeah, no. If you say
are you for or against Eternals? I don't remember.
I love Eternals, and
okay. I love Eternals,
and that invalidates my argument immediately. Apparently, like, apparently I like movies that make sense, but like whatever. But Moon Knight, man, yeah. But getting back to the,
I like Batman Forever, and people are shitting on me like, what is wrong with you? Christian Bale, greatest Batman.
Yeah, it's like those night and day. Those are different movies, but. Yeah, man, Bast being in Thor, that's a great idea. Like that's smart. That's cool. That's somebody who knows what they're doing. It's like with James Gunn being like, I want to put ego and stuff into this universe. And they're like, oh, well, Fox owns that. And he's like, well, let's pay them and get it. And it's like, oh, we can do that. Like that's the kind of forward thinking I want to see. Like, it's one of those things that I'm like worried about with the MCU, where I'm like, hey guys, you own that stuff, right? Like, use it, have fun with it, and when you do, could you not make it look like a fan film in the middle of your $200 million blockbuster? That's all I really ask for at this point. It's just for it to look like decent. But Bast is cool, and I hope Bast doesn't die in Thor.
I'm hoping. Gonna be interesting.
We'll
They're
see.
just tearing apart Wakanda, but all right.
Here's the
Moving
thing,
on
that'd be
to the next
interesting.
thing.
I will say, it'd be interesting if they did kill Bast and have that have repercussions on.
We started to
Wakanda
see the
forever.
interconnected MCU again.
Yeah, but I hope not. I mean, like, Bast shouldn't die, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right, next topic is Multiverse of Madness. Very mild spoilers if you've somehow avoided the entire internet for the last 3 weeks.
And not gone to see it in 2 weeks.
The Illuminati is in that movie, and there is an empty chair. When asked what is that chair for, the writer said they don't know.
Shocking!
The chair has no answer. They brought up Namor, and Marvel said no. So he's just saying it's probably just Doctor Strange's chair in that universe.
You know what? Honestly, that's like the most straightforward answer I could think of. Like, that's such a good answer because it's not like nonsense. It's like
it's probably they were making the set. They just gave them a number of chairs and then went to see who would fill them.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it was. I guarantee
you. It was a thoughtless intern who was like, this is for Professor Charles Xavier. And they're like, probably should move it. And he's like, I'm coming. And they're like, oh, okay, never mind. Just leave it there. Say it's for say it's for Jehovah or something. We're just leaving a chair out for him. But I don't. The Namor thing is really the telling thing, right? Like, we know they wanted to use Namor. I think that we've heard rumors that Namor is going to be in Wakanda forever, or at the very least, they want to set up an Atlantis versus Wakanda war.
Right. Well, Aquaman did amazing. They want to have their version, just like Wonder Woman did amazing, and then they kind of like front loaded a Captain Marvel movie.
They sure did.
Whenever DC gets a win,
Marvel's like, oh no, you
not
don't.
for long.
Yeah.
We will have our version of that DC.
Right.
Thank you.
So but like, I'm glad, because I hate the idea of them being like, let's introduce these things you've been waiting for the MCU in a cameo in a Doctor Strange movie. May or may not even be in canon. Like,
I'm shocked at the people that, without naming them off, just in case you missed it.
Yeah.
I am shocked because I said at the begging it would be such a waste. Like, I wasn't saying they wouldn't do it. I was saying it'd be such a waste to introduce characters that way.
Yep. And then they did. And so it's like, I'm amazed at the restraint of being like, of not putting Namor in there.
Yeah. Which tells you that they got plans for Namor, but I guess,
not
other
for the other ones.
They're still up in the air.
I mean, and there's one, I'm like, there's one character there where I was like, yeah, well, nobody has any plans for them anyway. And I understand.
That one made sense. But
you had your shot, and it didn't work out. So
we'll stop here just in case you're the one guy who lives under a rock and either avoided social media because we did
and
a whole
watches
discussion
podcasts about comic books. Like, okay, amazing.
But next up, we've got the new game Multiversus has been announced. It has Batman, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, Superman. All of them have been announced.
Yep.
Whether the game will be considered canon as the Fortnite crossover is to be unknown.
No.
I was gonna joke and be like, Dan's dumb. This is a stupid thing to put on my topics, and I hate you, Dan, and you can burn it a fire. But he flipped me off behind the scene. I was watching him here too. But he's not wrong. They made the Fortnite stuff canon on both sides, Marvel and DC.
That's true.
It's 100% canon that Batman went over to Fortnite and figured it out.
Yeah, and fought Snake Eyes.
It fought Snake Eyes.
But yeah, no, this game looks like. I mean, it doesn't look like something I'd play. I mean, like I do like Smash Brothers, but like
when you come to visit, you know you're gonna play it.
I hope so. Yeah, that'd be fun.
And that'll probably be the extent of where you play it, unless Tiffany gets you on there to like goof around.
Yeah, and I hope the gameplay is fun. Like the thing is, Smash Brothers is a well-oiled machine. Like that thing works flawlessly.
Oh yeah.
So I would hope that a clone of it with Warner's characters in Space Jam 2 style would work out too. You mentioned the ending.
There's
of the
a lot
trailer.
of clones of Smash Bros. And they have not worked.
Right, like the Nickelodeon one. I've heard about it, but I've never played it. Have you played that one where it's
no,
like all the
but I've heard it's okay. Like most of
that's
them
the thing,
are
like
the PlayStation one, All Stars. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, I'm not gonna play that. Like, but yeah, the ending of it had a big reveal.
Iron Giant is going to be in it, and it made me tear up because Iron Giant is from my childhood. It was one of those movies that I saw with my dad and my brother, and we all kind of like bonded over it. And my dad's always been a huge fan of Iron Giant, and it was a great thing. So like he came down because Superman's like, this looks like a job for, and then Iron Giant flies in behind him, and he's like, Superman, and I was just like, oh my god, and like a flow, and I'm not even lying. Like I want to say I'm lying because I'm not an emotional guy. So what happens is when an emotion like is triggered in me, it just goes hard.
Yeah, right.
That's
fair.
I think I've had a lot of things happen in my life. I'm not emotional. So like Iron Giant came down and I got a flood of nostalgia and all these great memories of my dad and my brother. And it's just like, oh my God.
That's dope. That's great. Oh man. Iron Giant is a perfect movie. And it was really cool to see Iron Giant meet Superman.
Yeah,
like
it was.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of it. So
right. What's their combo?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Last topic. With Moon Knight over, the producers have moved on to their next project, The Fantastic Four. What does this mean for anything?
I hope that means like I hope that means like Kevin Feige and not like the people who made Moon Knight, because I don't want anyone associated with Moon Knight making.
It's the guys from Moon Knight.
4.
Grant Curtis and Nick Pepin have moved on to Fantastic Four.
Oh, don't do that.
Well, they are.
Oh. That's too bad. I heard because John Watts abandoned the Fantastic Four to make a Star Wars movie.
Right.
And I had just come around. Like after No Way Home, I'm like, all right, John Watts doing Fantastic Four. Not my first or even 10th pick, but okay. Like that's cool. And then he left, and I'm like, oh, is it because the internet makes things happen now and John Krasinski is Mr. Fantastic and he's going to direct the movie himself like A Quiet Place? And then it's like...
That'd be kind of cool, though. He's a really good director. Quiet Place
He's a good director. He's a good... Yeah, but I don't associate A Quiet Place with the Fantastic Four, and he's not my first... He's not even my 11th pick. Like, I have so many other directors that I'd rather see make a Fantastic Four movie than any of those people. But Fantastic Four should be fun and joyful and bombastic. And
if I disappear, Kat's on the extension. Okay, never mind. Here she is.
Okay.
I'll look over at the new placement and I'm like, uh-oh. Kat's walking on that.
Pew. But yeah. No.
Kitty attack.
So if the producers of Moon Knight want to make Fantastic Four, how radically different will it be? It's like, well, Moon Knight is about a street-level character who may or may not have DID, and we'll see any fights like mystical-based and street-level villains. And it's like, oh, okay, well, let's make it into a globe-hopping, Egyptian-themed psychodrama about, like, this dude and this woman. Yeah. And so Fantastic Four, it's like, oh, it's about 4 explorers who become imbued with fantastic cosmic abilities, who become celebrities in New York.
And they find a big purple beam in the sky.
Right. Well, yeah. And so it's like, well, what will the new Fantastic Four look like? Made by a person who wanted to make something else. Like, I'm sorry, I'm so sore about it because, like, I appreciate, like, candor, but also just this naked like it's almost like gloating, where it's like, nah, I made a Moon Knight movie that's nothing like Moon Knight.
Well, it's like my complaint with Halo. Like the guy who's making Halo. Like, dude, you don't have a terrible story. It's not a very original story. But you don't have a terrible story. But the fact that you put Master Chief and Halo into it is why?
Did you see that Penny Arcade joke about it, where they were just like, to be fair, they did say it wasn't going to be like the video game. Like, and it's like, yeah, man, that doesn't mean that that's anything. You know, like, yeah. I mean, listen, I'm gonna get flamed because like, people are like, but cosmetically, it uses and lifts imagery from the Lemire run. It's like, yes. Does Mark Spector technically have like accoutrements from those comics that are applicable in the movie? Yeah, but like the story isn't about any of that. It's, you know, except for episode 5, which is the one I liked. You know,
I mean, I don't want to go into a rant about Moon Knight again because we've already spoken.
Because we've done it twice now.
Yeah, we've done it quite a bit. It's like, it's my problem with Dan and I reviewing Halo. It just turns into the same rant of me being like, "Here's the better idea: hire me, Paramount, because I play Halo."
Yeah, like apparently, the only prerequisite was to get a person who'd never heard of Halo before.
Yeah, apparently, and like they found the one guy. Because like that's what I find funny about Halo. Halo's like a multi-million-dollar franchise, and they got the one guy that's like, I've never even played it or read the books or even looked into it. So
like, dude, like
I'm the guy to hire for Halo.
I played exactly 2 Halo games, and I was not like I remember when Halo came out. That's how old I am. But like when Halo launched, I was like, lame, because the Xbox controller sucked, and it was a horrible. You don't play first-person shooter games with a controller. And I was like, this sucks. I have a gazillion other games that are way better than Halo on my PC that I could play. I don't care about Halo. But Halo was the great equalizer, and it brought people together in a great way that I could never have imagined. And it like unified dorm rooms across the world, and it made like first-person shooters like a major thing again. Like it was like a new renaissance for FPSs, and it's like, okay, cool.
And they've never gone away.
Well, and the story is dope, and the cosmology's cool, and and all the iconography works really well. But like, the thing is, one thing I know about Halo is that Master Chief is voiced by that guy and doesn't take his helmet off. It's like
right, like that's the 2 core things.
Like people were celebrating Judge Dredd because Karl Urban doesn't take the helmet off. That's the only like
Mandalorian. We're all excited because he doesn't like. That's the core tenet of the character.
But like with Halo, like just looking at it from an economical standpoint, you could cast the dude who plays the voice of Master Chief and save yourself a boatload of cash just hiring a stuntman to be Master Chief.
That's what kind of blows my mind with the Halo is it's not even like they got a well-known actor to be the face of Halo. It's Pablo something or other who's in Orange is the New Black. He was in a movie that I just watched with Natalie.
Right, like, but getting like an actor, like we have an actor. He's played Master Chief for 15 years.
Well, he retired. He did retire in the latest Halo. He said it.
Okay, but he would come back to do a Paramount Plus live action series. Are you kidding me?
Probably. You're not wrong. I mean, we don't know what the situation was. He was just kind of done doing the Master Chief. I mean, that's a discussion for another day. I don't know what they were thinking, and I'm getting tired of video game movies coming out that are subpar.
That are bad?
I watched Uncharted, and it is just Uncharted, and I'm like, that's cool.
Right.
Who'd you make this for, though? Because I wanted to see a new adventure.
Yeah.
And if you don't play video games, you don't know what Uncharted is.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, with that Uncharted movie, like, that movie was being developed with Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake. That was the plan. And then,
I looked into it. Yeah, it was developed for 12 years.
Yeah, and then 12 years later, they call him up. They're like, hey, we're making it again. We're making it now. And he's like, okay, great. And they're like, oh, by the way, you've been recast.
You're too old now.
Yeah, we waited too long, and now you can't be Nathan Drake. And apparently neither can Tom Holland. But whatever, that's okay. Good for you, Tom. I appreciate it.
I think he did an okay job.
I haven't seen it, so but I don't care. I do like I've had so many good adaptations of things that I do like that my heart goes out to people who like to video game fans. I'm just like, I saw Assassin's Creed. It's dog shit. So like, I'm sorry.
Why is it stab Betty over and over today? It's Sal. You're just like Assassin's Creed shit.
That movie is that movie is really bad. Assassin's Creed.
Why? I feel like I'm being personally attacked here.
Because Assassin's Creed stars Michael Fassbender and is like the most adaptable video game of all time. Like you could just easily make a movie out of
Every Assassin's
Creed.
Creed is separate. You can easily just make a story and it works, and they didn't.
Yeah, no, it could be like
the Tomb Raider movie is probably one of the best, and Sonic are probably the two best adaptations. And the only reason why the Tomb Raider movie is a great adaptation is they base it on the new Survivor trilogy,
right?
Which is just Lara Croft getting her ass kicked for 3 games. Yeah. And then the movie is Lara Croft getting her ass kicked for the entire movie.
I haven't seen them. They look good, but I didn't see them, and I heard nothing about them. The Sonic movie, I was like, I watched that.
You gotta see. If you haven't seen this, you gotta see the Sonic movies.
I know. I've seen the first one. I saw it on streaming, and I was like, this is perfectly harmless. And honestly, like, there's no way you can just drop a like $150 million Sonic movie set in like the Emerald Hill Zone and make it about him collecting rings and fighting Robotnik. Like you gotta do the thing. You gotta do the Smurfs live action, the Alvin and Chipmunks.
Yeah, but it worked with Sonic because the plot is the portal hopping and stuff.
I know, it's fine. It's a perfectly harmless movie. It doesn't do anything wrong. I'm just like, whatever. At the end, they fixed him. Like they didn't make him look like a horrible, gross monster. And I saw enough of Sonic 2 where I'm like, yep, okay, that's exactly what That's it. That's great.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Well, I've got a meeting I got to run to, so we're going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Absolute Comics. Don't forget to check out the Discord for Absolutely Marvel and DC. We've already got a little bit of a community going there. We're having a great discussion.
Yeah.
You can find me over at Ben and Friends, also known as Comic Story and Plays. It's a gaming channel that I started where we've now got a full month of content up there, and I'd love for you all to go check it out if you have the opportunity.
Dang.
I wasn't mentioning much about it because I wanted to make sure the team would actually keep making content, and we're currently in the talks to make a spin-off of it, which is Ben and Friends Mobile, which will feature the other guy, Dan. So I'd love for you guys, Ben and Friends, Comic Story and Plays. It will come up if you search that. I will put a link down below. I'd love for you to join me over there. Sal's from Comic Pop. You can check him out over there. Comic Pop Returns. 2 great channels if you like comic book related stuff. And you can, of course, find the both of us right here on YouTube or in general at Absolutely Marvel and DC, our joint project, where half of you hate me and half of you hate Sal, so it works.
Yep, that's right. 2 wrongs make a right.
You ever seen that ratio? Like half of them are like, Benny needs to shut the hell up, and the other half are like, oh God, no Sal today. Like, yay. And I'm like, well, literally at this rate, we will literally never please all of you unless one guy's left in the channel.
Yeah, there we go. Or enough of you are to drown out the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time right here at Absolute Comics.